Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone, we're back with the Pocatello Business Podcast with the legend himself, Lance Buttars. You may know him. He owns pretty much the institution here in town. Molinelli is the oldest Idaho jewelry store. That's crazy, but it's amazing that that's lasted the test of time, huh?
Yeah, it's been a great thing for us. Molinelli's name has been good to us. And I feel like I owe a lot to the previous owners who have done things right for us to last through depressions, recessions, and changes in business philosophy. And yeah, we're glad to be here and hope to continue another generation.
Yeah, and you can add to the list lasting through coronavirus, so that's also now. So,
yeah, I guess I shouldn't speak till 2020 is over.
Yeah, I think we all need to be that way right now, but no, that's good. So let's start a little bit more with you. So Lance is, he was raised in Pocatello. He went to Highland, graduated there, and he's been in the jewelry business since he was 15 years old. And he's going to talk more about that. And now he owns Molinelli's jewelers, excuse me. But before we get into that, I need to take a quick sponsorship timeout, let you know about Dell's Outdoor Advertising. These guys have been in another Idaho business that's been here for a while, but the past 60 years, these guys have been here, outdoor advertising, left and right. We heard from Kent Oram that he contributed a lot of success from Idaho Central Credit Union to billboards. And like I said before, 71% of commuters remember messages they read on billboards, and 32% make a buying decision within 1 week based on the billboard messages. So call Rob at 232-6886, ask for him. And if you mention the Pocatello Business Podcast, you'll get your first month for free or installation for free with a 3-month deal. So again, call him Rob at 208-232-6886. So Lance, back to you. Let's get back to the nitty gritty here. Let's talk about you, and let's talk us through how you get started, and maybe along the way talk about you personally and some of your hobbies and that kind of stuff.
Well, me personally, I'm married to my wife, Julie. We just had our 39th anniversary just a couple of days ago. We have 2 children, 2 girls, and I have 4.6 grandchildren. My youngest has has a child on the way, and she has 1 other boy, and my oldest has a boy and 2 girls. Okay. And so that's our family. We've loved Pocatello. My wife isn't as keen about Pocatello as I am because she feels like there's not enough shopping. But Pocatello has been good to us. So I got started in the jewelry business, as you said, when I was 15 years old. It was just looking for a summer job. I had a friend who's the previous owner. It was the son of the previous owner. We hanging out, and I was working another part-time job at a tire store, and so I started working at Molinelli's, and I was just a stock boy, gopher, delivery, cleanup, and found myself fascinated with the goldsmithing aspect And there was a goldsmith who worked for him then, and he didn't like me much because he was kind of a curmudgeon, and he didn't like anybody bugging him and asking questions. But one day in the old building before we remodeled, and he was working on a little emerald and diamond ring, and it had a little tapered baguette emerald in it, and he flipped it out and it went onto the floor, which was a green tile floor, and it was like a piece to a puzzle, and he was under a deadline, and I said, I'll find it for you. And so I swept the floor and picked through the dirt, and it took me about an hour, but I found that. And after that, he had a different attitude. He thought, well, maybe this kid's going to be useful. And so I kind of became a lackey for him, and he tolerated my questions and me watching over the shoulder. Well, came a year or so later, he went on a vacation, and he was an alcoholic, and he went on a bender, and he didn't come back for a week. And the store owner, Jack Clark at that time, had his tools packed up and sitting on his porch. And so he found himself without a goldsmith. And it was going into a holiday season soon. And he said, now what am I going to do for a goldsmith? Jack himself had done goldsmithing, but it had been 15, 20 years since he had. And I threaded my job. I said, I can do that. And he looked at me like, how can you do that? Well, they had a scrap box of old rings and stuff they'd taken in a trade. And on my day off, I would go down and fool with them. I'd size them and put a new shank on or a bezel and all of those things and put them in the box. Probably wasn't supposed to be doing that, but so I took a handful of them, hoping for an opportunity like this someday. And I showed him, this one I sized up, this one I sized down, this one I put a bezel on, this one I fixed prongs on. And he looked at that and looked at me and handed me a ring and says, go size this. And it was at that time, I recall, about a $2,200 piece. And that was in 1975.
Wow.
And so that was a expensive piece.
Sure.
So I went there, and so then I became his goldsmith. And so later that year, or the next year, right around Thanksgiving, he had a massive heart attack and didn't look like he was going to make it. And he did pull through, but he was very sick during the Christmas break, and I hadn't had any instructions on gym setting because I did all the other, and he continued to set the diamonds. And so I just had to jump in with both feet. I had watched it and knew how it was done, and so I had to do that, and I was self-taught that because there was no one else to do it. And so the rest is history. I continued to do that until I went on an LDS mission to the New England states, came back, and he'd asked me to manage a branch store. It was out in the Foothill Plaza. Was there a couple of years, and he decided to close that. I came back here and started my own business. I was doing goldsmithing on the side for jewelers that didn't have goldsmiths out in the mall, Jensen's and Samuel's, which was Shoebacks then. And I started to be busier and make more money doing that part-time than I was working full-time. So I went to Jack and said, hey, who by this time had become my father-in-law. I married his daughter. And I said, I'm gonna start my own. And he said, well, you can use my space and my tools and equipment if you'll do my store too. So in the basement of this building is a room that became my shop, and I made what's called a trade shop, which does goldsmithing for jewelers that don't have goldsmiths, mall stores particularly, and hired and trained some other guys, and had a trade shop for 34 years in that shop, and we did work to as many as 27 stores.
Wow.
And 15 stores regularly, and then other people would send us piecework, and then got tired of the wholesale end of the business, and it was low margin and high volume and crazy hours. And I always told Jack, when you're ready to retire and sell your store, I'll buy your store. And came that day, and he said he was ready, and I was ready.
Well, that's awesome. And then how many years now have you been running Molinelli's?
Since 2005. And since we purchased it in 2005, let's see, we have nearly quadrupled Jack's highest year in gross sales.
Good for you, man. That's great. That is great. So what I'm hearing right now, is that when there's opportunities out there, and when they strike, you've got to be willing to pounce on them.
Right.
Because if you didn't say, hey, you know what, I can do this, and just sat back, who knows where you would have been,
Right. I think that's key for a lot of people. If there's something you want to do, be ready, because opportunity doesn't knock twice.
I like that. I like that a lot. And too many people are, it happens to all of us. Should I make this jump? Should I make this leap? Is it going to be worth it? Am I going to leave something secure and go to something insecure? Insecure. So that's I like that. I like that. That's something.
Yeah, there is a lot of risk aversion out there, and I guess to be fair, I should say I was ready a long time before Jack was ready, because every year after the holiday season, he says, "Oh, I'm so tired of this. I'm going to retire." And I said, "Ready when you are." And he'd start to talk about it, and then say, "No, I'm going." So I don't know if I had been as brave if it had been the first time, because I'll tell you what, there's a lot of fear in jumping in with both feet, because the first thing I notice is the difference in scale.
Yeah.
For those who are thinking about starting a business or doing a business, understand scale, because it's not much difference in running your household, but when you start adding a whole bunch of zeros behind the numbers that you write, it has a pucker factor. And that's one of the hardest things, was one of the hardest things for me.
Yep, I agree. Totally on that one for sure. Well, perfect. I know in certain industries, and pretty much all industries, there's certain myths about your industry. Can you speak on some of the myths that are in the jewelry industry?
Yeah, in fact, the most common one that I think is probably 100% that people believe is that jewelry has this incredibly huge markup, and that is just not the case with independent jewelers. Now, how I can clarify that is, you've all been to mall stores that have these signs that say 50 to 70% off, and it's there all the time.
Yep.
And next time you see one of those, if you read the fine print, it says original price may have not actually resulted in a sale. So that mentality has worked forever and still continues to work to some degree. But so the idea to a chain store is mark everything up and have 50% off because it's Wednesday, or just something crazy, and actually then they're selling the product at what a fair and profitable for the business to keep running would be. Now, an independent can't operate that way because first, they don't have the big budgets for advertising and promotion, and people come to an independent because most of the time jewelry isn't a price sensitive thing, it's a trust sensitive thing, because it's emotional, and it's usually associated with events, once in a lifetime events, marriage, for instance. And when you take a piece of jewelry and go get it serviced somewhere, you have to trust them, and that you're going to get it back. They're going to take care of your emotional investment. So as an independent jewelers, we have to mark jewelry at a fair margin so that we can remain in business, but we don't have these crazy 50, 70% off sale, with the exception of once a year, we'll usually have something in the past we've called it our 60/60 sale. We'll put things on sale like that for an hour, and that's to move out merchandise that's had too many birthdays. Sometimes you'll pick an item and it just doesn't, for some one reason or another, it doesn't sell. And we loved it when we picked it, but we have to get what we can out of it so we can invest in new product. And so in those situations, we take a loss. In the mall store kind of things, it's not a loss. They're making profits selling it at that huge discount.
Yep.
So that's the biggest misconception in the jewelry business. Another one is people watch something for on 20/20 or 60 Minutes about their diamond being switched, which is, every time one of those air, we have people come in and want to have us verify that theirs is switched. And I can say that probably 90% of the time, there is another explanation for whatever they are concerned about. Because if you think about it, especially us independents, we have to have that customer back again. You know, we don't live on a one-time transaction. We have to have the lifetime value of a customer, which means we have to build a trust. And nobody has anything on their hand that is worth 117 years worth of trust.
Yeah.
And if you were going to try to switch someone and fool someone, it would most likely be another explanation, because if you were inclined to do that, you'd have to switch it with something that's the same as what they already had. And then there's no point in that. So a lot of times people will look at their rings for 20 years and then all of a sudden a stone falls out and they have to go have it fixed. And they haven't looked at it as hard as they do when they pick it up in 20 years. And so they may see something that looks odd and different. And we try to point all those things out before we fix it. So
it might just look clean.
Yeah. Yeah. And most of the time they say, wow, it's never looked that good since I put it on.
That's right.
Yeah, those are a couple misconceptions about our business.
I like it. And I've learned through the hard way that there's time you just have to buy the quality and not be cheap. When I first got out of school, I was, I'm living on a budget with my wife. She really wanted an opal for a Christmas present or whatever, a birthday present. And me being the cheapskate I was at that time, I said, you know what, I'm going to go get the cheapest opal I can find. She did not like it. And we went and sent it back, and we went over to you guys. And you guys treated us so well, and it was such a beautiful setting. And now it's one of our favorite rings. So I really appreciate you guys taking time to help us out in that situation. So
yeah, we love that you loved it, and that's what we count on. That's what makes us to be competitive with big box stores is the experience, because as you found out, it's not just what you pay, it's what you get.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. Perfect. As we're closing this episode up, I'm curious, what do you think some of the biggest mistakes you see business owners make out there?
Well, if I could put it in just one nutshell, it would be service. So business owners, independent business owners, the only way that they can compete with big box stores is to do what they can't. And big box stores don't train their people to wow people. And as an independent, or any business that you're in, the only real control that you have against competition is the experience, the quality of the product, the experience of the purchase, and the follow-up. And we live in a day and age of reviews. Almost everybody does a review, and I've learned over the years that we've been in business that there's nothing more valuable as in the form of advertising than a reference from someone you personally know, a good reference. And it's also something that's devastating. If someone is thrilled with the experience, they'll talk about it when something pops up. Like when you're going to go to the jewelry store, if you're going to go to the barber or whoever, whatever business. Oh, I go here and I really, it's really great. But if they have a bad experience, it's a topic that doesn't need to be brought up. They'll talk about it. So as a business owner, the thing I notice the most when I go do business somewhere else is the service. If the service isn't there, or it's bad, or there's something that's wrong, as a business owner, I just want to go talk to the owner and say, you're losing money here, or this situation is costing you money. I didn't have a good experience, because it is so important to me. And so if I ever hear that about something from one of my customers or about my company, I'm all over it to try to figure it out.
I like that. And to add to that too, last week, I literally just had an experience with just very poor communication. Like they didn't let me know my product was ready. They didn't know, they were just such poor communication. And I always preach to my team, my management, there's no such thing as over communication. Just over communicate and never assume anything. So that goes hand in hand with the service concept of it. So.
And every once in a while, someone will even the best will make a mistake. And when you find out about it, what you do about it is paramount also. I remember one gal, we made a series of mistakes on a piece she bought from a repair and didn't know till we got a really nasty review. And I dug in and thought, oh, what can we do? And figured out what happened. And it was a repair for a watch, and it wasn't an expensive watch. It was just a costume thing, but some crystals had fallen out. They were glued in, but we hadn't realized it. And she just was not happy. And we went and found one. It took us a long time. We found one, I think found it on Amazon. And we bought her a new watch. And after that nasty review, she went back and was impressed with the kind of work you did to fix it. But if you just let those things go and think, well, next customer, people read reviews and they make buying decisions based on them.
Exactly. Might have worked, 20, 30 years ago, but now with the social media and everything else and Google reviews, they're right there front and center. So
if you're a super necessary business that people, I'm not going to pick on Walmart, but people say, well, it's the only place I can go to do this. And it really doesn't matter the kind of experience you have, because sometimes you feel like, I have to go there. But when people have a choice, they'll take it.
I agree. Well, I need to take one more sponsorship timeout, and then I've got one or two more questions for you, and then we'll end this thing up. We are sponsored by Pack and Go. If you go talk with Mason or Darren over there at Idaho Flood and Fire, they own this company called Pack and Go, and it is so convenient. I just recently used them for a remodel. They brought a pod right to my front door. They left it. It's ground level. You can load it. You have places to tie your valuables down, your furniture. And then when you're ready, they'll come and professionally load it, and they'll store it for you. Or if you're moving, they'll move it to your new location for you. Easy peasy. And it's so much nicer than having to walk up those steel death ramp traps when you're renting trucks here and there. So if you want to call them and you need them for some storage, some temporary storage support, or some moving support, call Darren at 208-339-2229. Again, 208-339-2229. And then if you sign up for 3 months of a rental or storage, they're going to give you your first month for free. So tell them that you heard about us on the Pocatello Business Podcast, and that's the deal for you. So Lance, back at you. You're a Pocatello man. What is one of your favorite local restaurants to eat at?
Oh, I'm a guy who likes to try different things, so I go to a lot of them. I say the ones that are of note to me. I don't know if you've ever been over to Villano's Italian, but everything I've ever had over there is good.
Good stuff.
And so there's only a couple of places that I go that I get the same thing because I like it a lot. One would be Ross Park Drive-In with their iconic taco spaghetti. And then when I go to the Roadhouse, I get the chicken, portobello mushroom chicken. And that's something I really like. But very few places that I go do I always order the same thing because I like to try something new. But
I like it.
We go out a lot, and so during this COVID thing, we've tried to focus on independence. And
right.
One thing I learned early in my business when I purchased the business, the previous guy was not much on donations or community support. And to be fair, he'd done his share over the years. But when I bought the business, I decided that I was going to try to contribute and support everyone who walked in the door. And that brands you as someone, to go to. And for the most part, I've been able to do that. And I had a woman working for me who's retired now who said, you can't donate to everything. And I figured with either time, product, or support of advertising that you almost can, and wondered at times whether it was worth it. But when business has taken a downturn, I find that what goes around comes around, because people will come and say, I'm shopping and supporting you because this, and this. And I think that's happening now. And so I would encourage all other business owners to support their local community, because it's true, what goes around comes around.
I like it. And that's the purpose of this podcast. It's just to continue to provide profits for Pocatello people, and keep this local and keep this community growing and thriving in how we want it to. So, well, perfect. One more question. Just what is one of your favorite, just general business, local business to spend money on?
What? Say that. I'm sorry again. I missed that.
No, you're fine. What's one of just a general business within Pocatello? What's one of the general businesses not in the food category that you like to spend your money on?
Well, when I need tires, I go to Big O. Okay. Because they're local. When I lease my cars because I like a new car every once in a while, but I go to local dealers.
Nice.
And let's see, let's see, if I would try to think of a local business that I'm big into fishing. Yeah. So I like Sportsman's Warehouse. Question I hadn't thought of before, but my rule of thumb is I try to buy everything local. And sure. Then if I can't get what I need, then I'll look to outsource. Right. And I try to encourage my wife to do that also. But it is getting so easy to just, shop online and Amazon. And I was nervous about that when it came to jewelry, because there's lots of things that people can shop jewelry wise.
Yeah.
But I found out a lot of people just use that for research. And our goal is to, when someone comes in shopping with say, I found what I wanted online and they know how much it is, they come in and they know they're going to have to pay a little bit more. We can be competitive, but we try to make the little more they pay worth the difference.
Well, yeah.
So,
you're a brick and mortar, you have different overhead than online stores do too. So
and oftentimes we can be competitive and provide that service and warranty and quality that they can't get on the online experience. So it's worth it. So I try to look for that in other merchants,
Well, good. That's wonderful. And that's the same thing we try to do as well. Just try to keep things local. So, well, appreciate it, Lance, that you're able to come on the show. If people want to reach out and to look at some jewelry and to come see you, is there I know you have a website that they can go look at. What's that website?
That's PocatelloJeweler.com or Molinellis.com. That'll get you there. When I first did the website, I thought people who live in Pocatello know how to spell Pocatello, and not many know how to spell Molinellis. So I got both domains, so you can get there either way. And
I like it. So if they want to come to you and talk to you, go ahead.
They can come in and see our beautiful new remodeled and expanded store.
Sweet.
If you haven't been here, you'd be surprised that it's in Pocatello. I have sales reps come and they look and say, wow, I'd have never known. And this store would fit in San Francisco. So we're
it's beautiful. Yeah, I've been in there. So I need to come in there here soon anyways, because my wife's ring does need to get cleaned. So.
All right.
We'll have a good one. And thanks again for being on the show. And we'll have to have you on the show again later.
Yeah, thanks. And I'll talk to you about what it'd take to be one of your sponsors.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Lance.
All right. Thank you.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.